Welcome to an Ashley a day. Hooray!
Hey everybody, welcome to day 113 of an Ashley a day. Today I saw one of the saddest things ever. I was walking back from class and I noticed this little thingy on the side of the sidewalk and I was like, oh, I really hope that's a leaf. And I get closer and it's like a little squirrel and it's dead. And I sat there and I wanted to try to make sure it was alive, but I debated touching it or not because, you know, diseases spread that way. Decided against touching it, so don't worry, I'm not diseased. But I probably stood there for a minute just like watching it, making like to see if it was breathing. Like I was just like, breathe, breathe, just breathe. It was so sad because it was laying there and I don't know if it fell from the tree or if it just died and it was all curled up and it had its eyes closed and it was so sad. This is not the first time I've seen a dead squirrel on campus either. There was another time I was walking back from class and I saw on a tree branch there was a squirrel and it was just kind of laying there and it may have been sleeping, but I have never known squirrels to sleep in a tree around like 11 a.m. At that point, they're normally up and running around, or at least in the nest. They're not sleeping on a tree branch. And it wasn't moving, so I don't know if that one was alive or dead either. And it was just, ugh, I hate seeing dead animals. I've told you that my history of moving from houses to houses, and I mentioned the yellow house, which was a rental house that we lived in for a little bit. And I remember one time I was sitting at the kitchen table with Brittany and we hear a thunk on the window. We look outside and there's a poor bird that ran into the window and was now dead. I was in first or second grade, no, second or third grade at the time, and I just remember bawling my eyes out. It was like tears were streaming down my face. Brittany to this day still tells me that she's never seen me cry so hard. And I remember looking in the mirror and like my face was all red and splotchy and I was just crying over this poor bird who died on a windy day because it ran into a window. I was so upset. I remember my uncle took one of Brittany's toe socks. I don't remember if anybody remembers those, but, you know, like the long socks with the toes in them for your, you know, individual toes like a glove. He put the bird in it and ended up burying it, which was really nice. It's because of things like this that my dad and Mom, probably you too, to be honest, have always thought that I'd be a vet. I don't think I could do it just for the moments where you have to put animals to sleep. I couldn't do it. When we had to put Duke down, which was my first dog, I don't know if I ever talked about him. I'm pretty sure I have. I still remember when we first thought he was getting sick. He'd always been kind of drippy, you know, in the pee region. And I remember one time following him into, at that time, I think it was Brittany's room. I followed him in there, and when he walked out, he looked really guilty, and it smelled horrible, and I walk in and there's just a pool of blood on the carpet. He was pissing blood. We've never really taken dogs to vets or anything. I was like, we need to get him to a vet. He's sick, obviously, and ended up not going so well. I remember getting pulled out of school for that. I was in the library during lunchtime, and Courtney, when she found me, she was like, of course I'd find you here. Anyway, she was like, yeah, we're going home. So we got pulled out of school. We drove to the vet. Duke was in the back. It was really sad. I couldn't even go in to see it. I stayed in the car. I was like, nope, I am not going in. I think up until that point I hadn't cried until everybody went in, and I just started bawling. This turned into a really sad episode, all because of that poor dead squirrel. We'll end on a happy note. It reminded me of a story I read about a person who had found a baby squirrel who was like half frozen to death, ended up nursing it back to life. They had two dogs and they called them like its parents or surrogate parents. Basically the doggies were watching over this cute little baby squirrel and it would like ride on their head. End on a happy note. Baby squirrel that lived. Yeah. Okay, hopefully I've got less depressing things to talk about tomorrow because, I don't know, I don't really want to talk about dead things again. But yeah, hope you had a good day. 113. See you tomorrow. And until then, goodbye.